Joining me now is Jason Stanley, professor of philosophy at the University of Toronto, whose work focuses on authoritarianism, propaganda, free speech, and democracy. He's the author of multiple books, including Erasing History, How Fascists Rewrite the Past to Control the Future. Jason, I'm actually optimistic today. I'm looking at those pictures. It's 11 in the morning in New York. This thing hasn't even started.
That's right. I mean, this is so important, what's happening today. And the kind of resistance to which you just drew our attention is so important. I think the administration has gone over its skis, as it were. They think that they thought that they could take the tragic assassination, the horrific assassination of Charlie Kirk, and use it for various advantages. And they have. Many people have been fired. They've been weaponizing tragedies. And maybe they think they don't need public opinion anymore. Maybe they think they have enough of the levers of power that it no longer matters what the people think. I do think that to some extent they believe that. And that's why they're hitting us with these very aggressive messages. Homeland Security, tweeting, remigration, things like this, like really out there aggressive messages. It doesn't matter anymore what you do or say, but we're starting to see civil society react to that in the ways you describe.
I want to explore this a little bit because the producer of this segment makes this point. What happens when the elected government in a democracy decides that they do not need public opinion anymore because they control enough levers of power? That's a very important distinction.
It's extremely important. You see it when the government shifts to hard propaganda against its own citizens, when it says, look, we're not trying to convince you of anything. We're just trying to terrify you. We're telling you, you will get rewards if you're on our side, and you will get punishment. You will lose your job. We will take you to court if you're not on our side. We're not trying to convince you anymore. We're not trying to spin a story. We're just doing to you what we do to external enemies. And look, that's what they've been telegraphing they're going to do. That's why they're saying the real enemy is internal. The real enemy is the Democrat Party. That's not an attempt to convince Democrats to support them.
So let's talk a little bit about what they're saying these rallies are, or what protest against this government is. They're calling them Hate America rallies. They're calling them Antifa, which is an interesting concept, because if you have an undefined group like Antifa and you call everybody Antifa, then all of us can be arrested as Antifa.
That's right.
They're calling them pro-Hamas. They're calling them Marxist. Tell me about how this all works into this concept of bringing everybody into line.
This is a classic move that we can point to history, and then we should emphasize the fact that these people know that history. So it is standard, like the Nazis called the Social Democrats, the center left in Germany at the time. They called them Marxists, communists, enemies of the state.
Right.
So that is extremely typical. You call the opposition party Marxists and communists. You call anyone who's against you Marxists and communists, an existential threat to the state. We're seeing that exact strategy. Now, people say, why always draw things back to Germany? Because I think someone is looking at German history here.
Right.
And so that move of saying, if you're not 100% for us, if you're not just repeating our line, you're anti-American. Because what America is right now is Donald Trump. It's Donald Trump and his agenda, according to this idea, according to this move the administration is making.
Let's talk about for a second this distinction between Jimmy Kimmel and the fact that people went out, because people sort of like Jimmy Kimmel. Some of it was all about free speech, but some of it was, hey, you don't take this entertainer off that I like. The Department of Justice, the Department of Defense is different. People don't watch these things generally, but it's really important that we cover it. It is $1 trillion of taxpayer money. There are people whose lives are on the line, whether they're soldiers or sailors or people who we're attacking, apparently, in the Caribbean Sea. It's really, really important that we are allowed to cover these stories without government interference.
It's utterly essential. A number of these things, I think they're thinking, will float under the radar.
Yes, correct.
So they're thinking,
most people who are watching this do not watch Department of Defense press briefings.
Right. They don't understand, and most Americans don't understand how important it is to get that information at a time when we're completely illegally bombing people. And, the president has taken has taken steps to, I mean, completely illegal steps to simply declare war against random people on the ocean, which suggests, by the way, that the president can kill anyone, anywhere.
Right. So even Republicans are saying, could you give me a little more legal justification for this? And the White House is just not providing it.
Just not providing it. And that means if they let this go, which they do seem to be letting go, the Republican Party, the president can do anything he wants, anywhere he wants.
These days, if you're a drug cartel, you're now at war with the American government, so anybody can be a drug part of the drug
Anyone
cartel.
can be. Well, then they're going to say that anyone who objects to what they're doing is supporting drug cartels.
Right. Hang on for a second. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. Jason Stanley is with me. You're watching more Velshi. We'll be right back. I'm back with Jason Stanley, professor of philosophy at the University of Toronto. You made an interesting point, and I agree with you. Like, I hate the idea of making references to Nazi Germany and Hitler because that ended up being the worst situation in the world. But the patterns about how you get to a place like that are interesting. We have the normalization of this unusual behavior by the government and the sort of sense that it can't really happen here. They can't really wreck America.
Right. I mean, and this is coming at a time. The cutoff of the defense of information from the Defense Department is coming at a very peculiar time. It's coming at a time where we do have these bombings in Venezuela, where we don't have information about why it's happening or who it's happening to or evidence. We have that. We have the obvious gearing up towards multiple fake wars. And let's note this very regime criticizes the Iraq War for having created a war under false pretenses. They criticize the George Bush administration for creating a war under false pretenses, and they're cutting off the information permanently to the American people that would enable us to judge whether or not the Department of Defense is going to war under false pretenses. So what are they gearing up for? Why now? The Venezuela thing is happening. It's clearly illegal. And they're gearing up for another use of the Department of Defense. And they're doing so quite deliberately. They're cutting off this information quite deliberately in gearing up for this.
So one of the things that you've written about, which I think is really, really important today in this moment, is that this fall into authoritarianism is not inevitable. You do have to realize that we're in danger of it so that you can take action, including maybe going out today to a rally. But it's not inevitable. We can stop this.
We can stop this, and we saw it happen in the after the Jimmy Kimmel incident, other cases as well, like Karen Attiah at the Washington Post. People dropped their subscriptions to the Washington Post. People dropped their subscriptions to Disney, and people just didn't verbally accept it. That's what I said. Why I said the administration is going out ahead of its skis. They're thinking that now is the time that they can just do a full court press and say, public opinion doesn't matter anymore. But it's looking like that's why it was very important that Fox News, of course, joined the press, the rest of the press, in handing in their credentials. So what the institutions have to think, people have to realize, you cannot be defending your institution in this moment. That's lets authoritarianism advance when people say, I'm going to save Yale University. I'm going to save the Washington Post until this is all over.
Right.
No, your institution is irrelevant. What's relevant is democracy. And you might have to sacrifice your institution for democracy. Because is it really the Washington Post anymore if it folds in the way that it has? Is it really Dartmouth College anymore if it folds in the way that it has? Because those are democratic institutions.
Right. Those are institutions of civil society upon which we rely collectively, even if you don't read the Washington Post or go to Dartmouth. Jason, thank you as always. Jason Stanley is a professor of philosophy at the University of Toronto. He's the author of multiple books, including Erasing History, How Fascists Rewrite the Past to Control the Future.